All right, here we go. Yay. Okay, we're going. We are live. I'm going to kill the... oh, let's get back to the hosting. Yeah, there we go. Oh, and it's frozen again. Oh, maybe it'll catch... Oh, there it goes. Catches up. Way to go, XSplit. Okay. Well, we're back. New year. Not quite. I mean, the New Year smells kind of not as pungent anymore. Maybe that's a good thing. Yeah, how are you this evening? It's been a month, I think, hasn't it?
About that, yeah.
Something a month.
Maybe a little bit more.
A month?
5 weeks, actually, I think.
Oh, you're counting. Okay.
Oh, no, I just happened to see something that came up as I was looking for a link and that kind of thing, right?
Yeah,
So,
I was
yeah.
thinking four weeks ago was probably Christmas, or actually would have been just after Christmas. But yeah, it's going. Yeah, I promised I was gonna tell you why. We'll get to that in a second. You might want to talk about the
Hang on
current
here.
brouhaha by truckers over vaccine mandates. Explain to the good folks what the hell's going on.
Oh, we have a convoy of, I don't want to say, well, I do, I want to say anti-vaxxers, but
It's like the old song,
the
Convoy.
freedom convoy, and they're against the mandate for, and what is it, the mandate for vaccination.
So it's
So this is
yeah,
a convoy that's headed to,
they can't cross
Parliament.
borders if they're not vaccinated. Is
Yeah,
basically it.
yeah, sorry, yeah.
Um,
I'm,
yeah, this is going to backfire in a big way, I think.
well, I don't quite understand um, why they're protesting. You know, I don't know. Like, there are lots of truckers who are not protesting, and this seems to be kind of a fringe group. And now we're getting racist
It's a
elements,
pretty big
tossed
fringe
into the
group.
whole thing. And well,
You got
it's
40 kilometers of truck. That's not small.
yeah,
And that's, remember, when, every letter a TV station gets for complaining about their programming, you can bank on another 10 who just didn't send in a letter thinking the same thing, right?
okay, yeah.
So it's
I don't know. I
not.
think I'm sick and tired of anti-vaxxers, and I don't care if they're truckers or new agers or whatever. I'm just sick and tired of it. I'm just sick and
I'm
tired
just
of
sick and tired of
irrational,
the whole thing.
Yeah.
At one
Well, maybe
point,
if
do
we
we
didn't,
finally say, okay, we've done our best. It's not what we're doing. It's not working.
well, when we get rid of it,
No, no,
we do know
that
that,
could
when
never.
you
That might
converge
never
in,
happen. We haven't gotten rid of the flu.
well, yeah,
So
that's
what's
true, but
why is this different?
because it kills people.
So does the
Whereas I know
flu.
the flu does too. But
Flu
I mean,
kills a
we
lot of
can
people.
maybe, well, that's why we get our freaking flu shots, isn't it?
It
Right?
still kills people.
Well, it does,
Yeah,
but
but why? Okay,
we take measures to, prevent that.
yeah, but
And
why is it that people don't think much about the flu to have vaccine mandates for that?
well, that depends on your job and your risk
No,
of
it doesn't.
spread.
It actually doesn't.
I guess so. I guess in the medical community, it should, you know.
Yeah, well,
Um,
whether it should or not is another matter. Uh, they don't have to. There's a lot of nurses who aren't vaccinated for the flu,
hmm.
and it's and
I guess I'm thinking,
to say to a nurse that who didn't get the vaccine that you can't, you're on leave. That's kind of counterproductive because you're
I
decreasing
guess,
you're already strained healthcare system,
yeah.
and you're decreasing the number of people that are available to work.
But you're
And
also increasing the risk of those who come in to be treated if you've got it,
oh
obviously.
no, I don't
Or,
think so.
people
No,
that come in for other reasons and you're
no.
spreading it
You know how
possibly.
much the flu vaccine stops the flu from spreading within a hospital?
I would say probably not that much, but it might,
It's zilch.
minimize its effects.
It's zilch. It doesn't stop the spread at all. and that's been studied quite
Well,
a bit.
that's fair. We know that.
Yeah.
We take last year's, flare-ups of flu, so to speak, and predict what's, going to be for the upcoming year. So we know it's not 100%. Nobody makes
Well,
issues
no,
about
it
that.
doesn't do anything in a hospital setting. It does nothing.
Well, how do you know?
Because it's been studied.
Okay.
It's I
Okay.
could bring up the studies, but I just don't have them offhand. But I have looked at them. Yeah, there is absolutely no evidence that being vaccinated stops the spread of flu in a hospital.
Yeah. So what do you make of how our, seniors' homes were dealing with this? And like,
Where the
my goodness.
places there are places where there's a need. I would say the same thing for
Yeah.
flu, but we don't do that for some reason.
Well, yeah.
And I would say that in those, take the precautions. And but everybody,
Yeah, but
when
we're talking about the
everybody,
past.
even though
We're not talking
the
about
people who
now.
aren't really at risk are having to have their lives put on hold for years. I'm done. I'm finished. I can't stand it anymore.
Well, nobody can.
Oh, I'm not going
But,
to.
you
That's the
know,
thing, and that's what's happening. Is that people are saying, "Yeah, we're not going to stand it anymore.
yeah, but you're
We're done."
protesting a virus. What's the point of protesting a virus? It just seems silly to
No,
me.
it's not
Virus
protesting a
doesn't give a
virus.
rat's ass
It's
about,
protesting the draconian measures that aren't doing a thing that are being applied to everyone. It's we're done, and it's divisive.
well,
It's been dividing society,
of course it has.
and we've got enough divisions. Thanks. We don't need another one.
Well, that's fair, but I don't know.
And our
I'm
esteemed
just sick of.
Trudeau, he's making noises. He's basically calling them a basket of deplorables.
Well, that's ridiculous.
And
That's unacceptable discourse.
and of course it is. And he's
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
it's a fringe group, but most Canadians are like, how do you know that? Have you asked?
Well,
I don't
I
think
don't know.
so anymore.
I've seen other.
I think
Output from
Ontario.
other.
I think Ontarians are,
Okay,
but
yeah,
we're not Ontario.
that's true. Yeah.
And I get really tired of Ontario kind of dominating the political landscape. And there is something to be said for maybe not separation, but at least having a bigger say, considering that we are the suppliers of their energy. Yeah, it's just
I just I just don't see why they get different rules when, those of us who are, going on planes and all the, you have to do it. It's not
you're in
that
a
big a
truck by
deal.
yourself.
Well, that's true, but are you, what capacity do you have to interact with people
You
on
don't
the other
have to
end of
interact
things?
with anybody. You can have protocols by which you arrive, offloading is done for you, and you leave.
Okay, well,
What's
well
wrong with
then
that? And
maybe there's a different approach then. Maybe if you don't have to interact and be within 6 feet of people and, when
sure,
you cross the border, you're wearing your mask.
sure, why not?
Uh, yeah,
Yeah,
that's
what's wrong with
fine.
wearing a
That's
mask?
nothing, except people will deny wearing a mask too when they, like, right?
Well, yeah, I'm getting pretty close to that too, because it not denying wearing a mask, but going to a restaurant and they demand you see your vaccination records, and I'm just like, really? Is there any evidence that's effective
Well, I
in a
guess we'll
restaurant
know
setting?
in time.
Hmm?
I guess we'll know in time. It's not like we have a control population here,
Well, I'd like to know. I
you
mean,
know.
I'm sure somebody's looked at the numbers. I haven't seen them. But
Well, I think it's pretty new. I don't think you'd be able to really put together much at this point.
well, they've been putting together numbers all along.
Yeah,
I know that there's
the time
moves
is obviously a
to get
factor.
rid of the vaccine passport for Alberta, probably
Mm.
in March. We'll be doing away with those here in Alberta anyway.
Well,
And
then I guess we can expect another flare up of COVID or, another,
yeah,
I don't
there'll
know,
be an uptick, I'm
mutation
sure.
of it. Yeah. Why?
But
Why do we need that?
but well, why do you need to get a cold?
because I'm probably not going to die from a cold, but I don't want somebody out there,
Lots of people die from
spreading their
colds.
shit around or whatever, right?
I think, well, the
Well, I suppose if it
the
turns into pneumonia and,
the mortality rate of Omicron is not very high, a couple of percent at most, and that's mostly in high risk populations.
okay.
And,
Um,
it's, which of course is the same for lots of others, like the aforementioned flu. I mean, that's for the elderly when that have weaker immune systems. Ironically, what kills people when they contract COVID is not COVID; it's your own immune system, and you end up in acute respiratory distress syndrome, and
yeah, and I've also heard that, kind of no matter what you die of, if it's in any way related
you got to
to
die
COVID,
something.
it's counted as a COVID death, right?
You got to die
So
something. But I'm tired of this. I'm just done. I'm done.
Well, I'd prefer to prevent dying from COVID. I know there's, I could be smucked by a bus tomorrow, but if I can, prevent that,
just
or
adding
killing
one
my
more
parents,
thing to the
or
list.
kids or something.
It's a long list of things that'll kill you. You have a pretty high risk of dying in a car accident.
I have no problem whatsoever with getting my vaccines, and I've had
and
my
that's
booster.
Fine.
Blah
that
blah
is
blah.
absolutely
Got my
fine.
vaccine passport. It's I'm not being violated. My freedoms aren't being violated. I have a choice whether I can do that or not. I can stay home if I don't get my vaccinations.
That's true.
Yeah. But, so when they go on about the freedoms are being violated, no, that's a load of crap.
I'm not sure I agree with that.
Putting people at gunpoint and making them get vaccinations. You don't have to get it.
It was like for healthcare workers, it's a condition of employment that during a pandemic you have to get vaccinated. That's part of the contract. Yeah. But for truck drivers, I don't think so. I don't think that's part of their contracts. Ever was.
Well, nobody anticipated this. Of course, it's part of nobody's contract now.
They did. It's always been anticipated by the healthcare system.
Yes, but
they're always.
I'm talking about the contracts that.
Sure, but that's the contract. Contract's a contract. You don't get to change the terms in midstream.
No, but I can't imagine that they would have anticipated a pandemic when they drew up those contracts. You still don't get to
change the rules in midstream. That's it.
But how would you address that? And I'm sorry, like the federal law or whatever,
I don't know, but this is a bad way to do it. That's all I know.
I think it's a bad way to protest.
You know how many fire halls in New York City have been shut down because of vaccine mandates?
Do you know how these convoys prevented emergency services from getting into, communities? Like, come on, it's the same.
I'm not saying that the protests are. I hate these kind of protests because I think that they're counterproductive.
Even if I agreed with them.
But I'm not talking about
what they're saying, which I don't.
I'm not talking.
I still disagree with this bullshit. Shutting down towns and highways and
but you've got
supply chain. And
18 fire companies close in New York City because of vaccine mandates. That's a lot worse than a bunch of truckers.
So exactly what process did New York invoke to, address it? We have to look at the history of what they've done. I don't really know.
It's just a vaccine mandate. You don't.
Well, when was that put in place? When was that put in place?
Last October.
So maybe it should have been put in place right from the beginning. And then we wouldn't have this shit happening.
So you'd had longer time without fire halls.
What's up?
So you'd have longer time without fire halls.
Maybe, but you'd probably.
Do you not see the problem here, though?
I do see the problem.
Okay, so what good is a mandate in such a circumstance when
the question isn't what good is a mandate. The question is it violating your rights and freedoms?
No, I don't agree. That is not the only consideration because there are lots of things that don't violate rights you shouldn't do. Whether or not you should do them, that's the question we should be asking. I don't care if it's violating rights or not. Okay, because lots of things don't violate the rights of individuals, yet are really bad things to do.
Yeah.
Really bad policy. I see this as a bad policy. It's
I
it's
don't. I wish it would have been,
counterproductive. You get
implemented
people
properly in
digging
the
in their
first place.
heels.
Shorter.
They're going to dig in their heels. They're not going to. No one likes to be forced.
No, and they're not.
Yeah, no, that I don't
Like,
buy.
okay,
Come
I'm
on,
going to make a
come on.
comparison.
You lose your
Come on,
job
okay.
if you don't get vaccinated.
You lose your job if you don't wear the hijab, something like that, right?
I agree.
So what's the difference if you're, dealing with the public
I don't know too many people who
and you're,
have had that problem.
well, it's not an issue anymore because we're all wearing masks now. We haven't talked about that for a long time, but I'm sorry, we're talking about secular society and what's best for all of us.
Oh,
And
that's
that takes precedent over individual
no,
rights, right?
that is not true. That is a communist version of a secular society.
No, it's a social one
Really?
where,
So
yeah, I'm not trying to take anybody,
are you saying
having a vaccination is not taking away anybody's property.
are
That's
you saying
ridiculous.
that the majority should have the right to run roughshod over everyone?
No, that's
'Cause that's what
exactly
you're doing.
I'm saying exactly the opposite of that.
What? Come
If you
on.
want to if you don't want a vaccine, stay home and don't run rushshod over the rest of us who don't want to get fucking COVID. Simple.
Sorry, that's you've got it backwards. You've got it totally
Why?
backwards.
How?
You take
How?
the precautions that you feel are necessary for you. You don't
Well,
get to tell
and-
other people to do that for you.
No, you don't get to tell them that, but you can,
Yep.
if they're not going to
De
participate
facto,
in
you are.
protecting the rest of society, then,
facto,
this is
you
the
are.
basic vaccine.
You
shit.
are taking away someone's right, and this is a right, to a livelihood.
Well, I don't know if that can be an argument that could be applied to that because I don't know, maybe they could choose to work within Canada. There's lots of ways to address this that don't violate rights.
Yeah,
My heater just kicked on.
this is the
kicked on
worst
here.
way. This is the worst way you can do it. And it's not working. It's not going to work anyway.
One wrong doesn't make another wrong right.
No, but doing something that harms society and our economy and potentially first responders, for instance, that nurses are pretty much all ready to quit, and now
I
this
bet.
strain. Oh my, yeah, come on. It's a huge strain on them. They're already
no doubt
stretched to
about
their
that.
limits.
Yeah.
And to say that, okay, well, the ones that don't vaccinate can't come into work. That's going to pop the bubble. And then
Is
they
it
just
the
quit.
case that unvaccinated people have the potential to spread COVID?
Everyone has the potential for that. It doesn't limit it to those that are not vaccinated.
Okay.
It's not as high with vaccinated populations.
That would seem to,
But
depending on
it's
what that
still
number is,
quite
seem
possible.
justifiable.
And you can get COVID twice.
Yeah.
Lots of
Yeah.
people have had. I mean, and some people don't even know
And
they've
without
had it.
symptoms too, right? Yeah. Yeah.
It just depends. It's kind of a really bizarre virus in the way it does. Like early on, it seems to have hugely changed in terms of how it affects the human body. But I've had the vaccine 3 times, and I will not get a 4th. And
Why?
because that night it felt like somebody took a baseball bat to my head,
Oh wow.
or shot me in the arm. On top of that,
Wow.
yeah, I had a really bad immune response to it, and I'm not going through that again. No, thank you.
Like I've been on, all of mine have been Moderna.
Mine have been
Pfizer?
Pfizer. Yeah, that's what,
Okay.
Pfizer.
Pretty much the same thing then, yeah.
So I'm like, nope, I'm not doing that again. I've got a good, healthy immune system, and unfortunately, that was the problem. So it knew darn well what that was that got injected into me, and it went berserk. So nope,
Wow.
nope.
Yeah, I had a bit of a sore arm, but I felt kind of crappy, but not that bad.
Yeah, I was out.
sleepy and
couple of days. So
yeah, I
I
felt
was,
draggy, but not anything,
yeah,
bit
it
headachy
was
too. But I
really
took
bad
a
for me. So
yeah.
no thanks. I'd rather just get the disease. I think at this point, it probably wouldn't be much different actually.
Oh,
Uh, it's
the fact that your
so
wife's a
varied
nurse.
in response, like body's response to it. Yeah, I think but I think at some point, when do you say that the damage to society and the economy is so bad that you're trading off,
Yeah, death over
and you have to say at some
wing nuts.
point, those vulnerable populations should still, take precautions. Sure,
Yeah, I
but
don't know.
the rest of society, I don't know.
It's the Americans who are, wanting this. Am I correct?
What?
Before they can cross, before the Canadian truckers can toss the border into
Oh
the
no,
U.S.
this is interprovincial.
Well, then why are they going to the borders and stuff? Why is Jason Kenney going
I
down
thought it was
to?
interprovincial. It was Jason.
No, I don't think so.
I don't know.
No,
I can't
it's a,
get inside
they're all
Jason
going
Kenney's
to
head.
the
Believe me.
God.
I
Yeah,
don't
he's
think I'd
going
want
down
to.
to.
Hey,
Yeah, he's going down to.
could you bring up what did I actually find it on? Send me a link.
Yeah,
Because
I'm trying to
that I'd
find
be
it.
interested. Maybe I got this all wrong. Like if it's across the border in terms of like international border, well, that's a federal responsibility.
Yeah, hang on here.
However, if you're going to disrupt the supply chain, we've seen what is happening down in the States in terms of the supply chain.
All
And
right, hang on here one moment. I'm going to get you that link. It's got a video, so I'm going to. Let's unmute.
where's the
Good.
chat? Hold on, folks. We're just grabbing a link. I gotta get this. If this is Jason Kenney heads to Washington D.C. Close the border. Sorry, man. You gotta be in quarantine for 10 years. Talk energy and trade issues. See, I thought this was
Oh, wait a minute.
an issue between. Are you sure it's not provincial, interprovincial?
Check here. All right.
I'm not a big fan of the convoy. I mean, I always think
Yeah.
these things are really. They just annoy me. if I'm how do you get somebody on your side when
Oh,
you've inconvenienced them in a really
well,
big
that's
way?
very true. That's the
I've never
hypocrisy here
understood
too,
that.
because
I've
some
never
of these people
understood
are the
that
first to say,
tactic.
oh, if it's something they don't like, they don't want to see a big protest, right? Like for
Well, I
example,
don't
First
care.
Nation. Well, it
I
was
don't care if you
they were
protest. Knock
well, okay.
yourself out.
So
Just don't it get in my way.
I'm trying to, what was the name of it? The UCP party or whatever, right? They no, I'm sorry, I'm getting it mixed up. The more extremely rightist
Yeah, the
party, and they've got
libertarian
this.
people.
I don't know if they're libertarians.
Yeah,
I
they're
don't know.
kind of libertarian, right?
Kinda. Um, anyway, they of course had some kind of mandate that
Wait.
they developed because of First Nations people protesting pipelines, and now suddenly they're disrupting shit, and that doesn't apply anymore, does it?
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
fuck those people. Excuse my language.
Oh, okay, it is
I mean, the supply
crossing the
chain,
U.S. border.
yeah, is
Okay.
the consequence.
Well, what consequence? Wait, oh, sorry, I missed the context.
Supply chain is going to be disrupted because of these protests. Because
Well,
the
not really.
truckers are obviously forming convoys and not
Yeah, but they're not going to be going across the border anyway. So there's no difference.
What do you mean, for the protest or for their livelihoods?
Well, if they're not allowed to cross the border, then they're not trucking. So they're still not trucking.
Yeah,
So there's no.
because
It's a wash.
well, I
That's why they're
because it,
protesting. They're not out.
yeah,
They're not allowed to do it anyway. So
yeah, fair enough, I guess, but I don't know. It's,
I just find mandates to be an extremely. Uh, it doesn't go over well with me because today you might agree with this.
yeah,
What
I
if
know
they do
exactly what you're
something
saying about the
that you
slippery
don't?
slope, and yeah,
That's
I
what
know.
bothers me.
Yeah,
It's not the problem isn't the message, the what they're trying to accomplish. The problem is the means,
yeah.
and I have a
No,
big
I'll agree
problem
with
with
you on
that.
that. I'll certainly agree with you on that. Yeah.
This is one of the arguments I hear so many times of that, where people are not argument, but people are very hypocritical when they're, oh, it's okay to use the means when they agree with the the goal, but but when they don't, all of a sudden, oh no, we shouldn't be doing it that way. Like,
Yeah,
I'm
I have no
sorry,
problem with
be
peaceful
consistent.
protests.
Drives me
Yeah,
nuts.
peaceful protests are fine, but when we're, throwing beer around all over the place and leaving a big mess and, you know, um, doing things to Terry Fox statue and our, national memorial and all this kind of shit, like, God,
Or
be
Abraham
fucking
Lincoln.
peaceful. What? Well,
Who
I
the
don't think
hell
we have a
wants to
monument to
take
him.
down?
We don't have a monument to Abraham Lincoln here,
No, but
but
I mean, well, they've done it to Louis Riel. No, not Louis Riel. Johnny McDonald.
well, that probably has more to do with,
Louis Riel.
another issue, right? Racism and that kind of thing. Whereas this has to do with,
Not everybody
an
has to be a
entirely thing
paragon of
entirely.
virtue to
Yeah, but
admire much
don't
of
go
what they
around
did.
defacing state statues.
It's whitewashing
You know?
history. Get rid of this. Get rid
Well,
of the statue.
Terry Fox, come
No, I'm
on.
talking about Johnny McDonald.
Oh, well, I'm talking about Terry Fox and the
I'm just giving you
National
a
War Memorial.
counterexample.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't think any of that should be done. I'm sorry. You know what?
I don't
Jefferson
either.
had slaves. Yep.
Yeah, take that
He
statue
wasn't.
down, but
He
put it in a
wasn't perfect.
museum. Yeah.
Martin Luther
I have
King
no.
wasn't perfect either. We could talk about his philandering.
Yeah.
What are you gonna
And
do? You know,
I think that that stuff should be stored in a museum if it's, no longer culturally appropriate, and
so
we
you're hiding
can't
it.
forget that. No, you're not
Well, we're
destroying
taking
it
it
and
out of
making it go
view.
away. You're putting it in a place where you can learn history and put it in context,
You
and
can do
you
that
know
anyway.
um
Yeah, but then who are we left to admire? You can
I don't know,
acknowledge
each
the
other.
faults, the
That's
foibles
just
of
it.
people, and still admire what their ideas and their
Sure.
and get over the fact that it was Jefferson's ideas. He was a founding father. Get over it. I just
I mean,
understand that he wasn't a perfect human being.
yeah.
You know, uh, this was true
And
for
it's
a lot of them.
important that people know that.
Sure,
This is a very important part of our history,
but
well, American history, but
you should still recognize that person for what they did, and I don't have a problem with statues of Thomas Jefferson any more than I have a problem with statue of Abraham Lincoln.
I don't know. I certainly wouldn't want them destroyed, but I might want to put them in, like I said, in a museum, right?
That's just
If I
another.
if I were in Germany, I sure as hell wouldn't want a statue of Hitler around, but I also wouldn't want to forget the Holocaust
Yeah, but
either.
who's
You know,
who's today? Like
nobody knows
I
about
think
the
you're.
freaking Holocaust. It seems to me
I
anymore.
think that you're taking an example that is a little extreme. Nobody admires Hitler now,
Yeah,
and they
yeah.
shouldn't then.
No,
But
of course not. But I don't know if it's.
to hide that
Yeah,
he
I am
was the
taking a pretty
chancellor of
extreme.
Germany, I mean, that's kind of a different thing. You don't want to do that either.
Yeah. No, you want.
History
I
is
mean, that's
history.
the
Don't
whole point of
disappear it.
the Holocaust museums and stuff like that, is so that people learn from the
How many people
past,
go
not
there?
destroy it. Well, I guess that's just what I was saying. I don't know, if anybody
You
even,
have to actually make an effort
you'd
to
never
do
hear
that.
it talked about anymore. You
Yeah,
know,
I've been to Auschwitz.
very rarely.
It's really kind of freaky.
I bet.
Um, it's yeah, it just it's unreal. It's the thing, right? You have no concept of what went on. I mean, you can't, even though intellectually speaking, given these numbers, et cetera, et cetera. When you see the luggage, the empty that were emptied by the Germans,
Yeah.
that these people brought with them to Auschwitz, the hair,
Oh,
which was cut off and used in wigs. Yeah, it's freak. It's hard to.
yeah. Babies thrown out for target practice.
I found it really difficult.
Lampshades made out of human skin.
Well, they didn't show that.
Well, that's I grew up learning a lot about this because
Yeah,
it's important.
but that's the thing. Now you can't even teach it.
That's really shitty. Yeah.
It's making history disappear just because you didn't like what happened. Well, that's too bad. You don't have to like it. And if you
Well,
if
you
you
do.
make
No,
it disappear,
nobody likes it. Well,
it's a bad thing.
exactly. Yeah, it can't come out of, the Holocaust should never come out of, our collective consciousness, I suppose, so to speak. And we ought to have learned the lessons.
Well, you'd think so, but this whole thing with Nazis and modern day
Oh my
Nazis
God.
is kind of a result of that, maybe of a paranoia of fascism, and I
Well, it's what happens when voices get driven underground.
yeah, I know.
They
But
converge into
it's not
nasty
just the
little
right, it's
groups,
the
and then
left
they
as well.
gain power. Well, that's fair enough.
It's both, and every time I hear
Actually,
somebody
I
call,
don't. Randy, I don't know, because those little neo Nazis, factions have been around forever.
all five of
Whereas
them,
I think a lot of,
I've
I
never
don't know
seen
about
one.
5 of them, but
I've never
pardon me?
seen one. I mean, I know they exist. I'm not saying they don't exist. I'm just saying I've never personally
especially
seen one.
like there's this. Well, they don't exactly, say, "Hey, I'm a neo-Nazi. How's it going?" But as it turned out, when I was growing up, my friend told me that a couple of guys that were brothers were neo-Nazis, and I was just like, "Holy shit!" Because they didn't go around announcing this, but they were fucking neo-Nazis.
Yeah, that's
So
the
they're
thing.
right.
They're underground.
Yeah, and
right?
they look perfectly normal. We're talking about like teenager, early 20 kind of thing, right? 20s, and yeah, you wouldn't know them. They don't say, "Hey," and they don't wear fucking, swastikas on their shoulders. They've been around for a long, long time. Whereas I think, this particular emergence of leftist ideology is something rather new
Yeah.
with,
Well,
with roots, don't get me wrong, but, academic history.
it's
Well,
it's
I sent you that
paranoid
article by
delusional.
Stuart Hall, right?
It's what it is. I mean, you see a Nazi everywhere. It's
Well, there's that too. Yeah.
indistinguishable from mental illness.
Well, if you're only looking through the world through one lens, and that lens is going to make you see things in, excuse me, in such a way that you are wearing blinders and you can't see other ways to explain phenomenon, then of course you're going, this
Right.
is the crux of indoctrination, right?
Right. And
Yeah.
unfortunately, left actually.
Well, all around,
It's the other thing that
religious, right, left.
I came to the realization, well, not a realization, it's a hypothesis, that modern day social justice is a narcissism incubator. I mean, it takes otherwise healthy individuals and creates narcissists out of them. I don't
That's
know.
an interesting point. There does, well, I mean, I guess you could sum that up in the term virtue signaling, right?
Or
Yeah.
victimhood status.
Yeah.
And the demands to
The
that
thing is
everyone
that
else change for them.
the thing is that a lot of the people that are advocating for the stuff aren't even part of the groups that they're advocating for.
I know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's those demands. Well, the fact that they're not in the group they still have to find a way to express their narcissism. So this is how they do it. Is they act on behalf of groups that never asked them to do anything.
Well, that's, yeah.
Right. So
Yeah.
I think social justice in general has become it's not like social justice of old, which was about real things.
Yeah.
Now it's
Yeah.
crazy. It's insane.
Well, there are still people out there doing good work.
And
For sure.
they should
But
be out
then
there
there's,
saying, stop that.
well, that's what I'm saying, right?
Right, yeah, I know. But you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like saying that, you're not helping.
Yeah.
I mean, when things like getting the right answer at math is white supremacy.
Yeah,
That's
we need
that's
to
just
we need to decolonize science and rebuild it.
decolonize science. Science is what it is for a reason.
Yeah, it's an international community.
It always was.
It's not, yeah. Well, I don't know about always, but, as we know it today, science isn't
For
one
hundreds
person.
of years. It's been
Well, no, we've had our sort of, individual heroes like Newton and Einstein, that have been,
absolutely. Well, I think
I
think we could be
nowadays it's a lot
forgiven
more
for
collaborative
holding Newton up. You realize that all of his physics work.
I'm just saying that people don't work in isolation like that anymore, like in the days that those guys did.
Oh, and he worked.
Right?
He worked
shouldn't have said
in
Einstein, but,
isolation, as in because it was the plague. He did all
well, that
of his
too,
work
but I'm saying
in 2
that,
years.
Galileo didn't work in the massive scientific team at CERN, right? Do you know what I mean? Like,
Well, yeah,
it's a
but
much
he
more
wasn't doing
collective
big
endeavor.
science either.
Well, because big science didn't exist. That's what I'm saying, right?
Yeah, but
We had,
little
individuals
science
coming
still
out with
exists
great.
too. It
Oh
does.
yeah, of course.
Uh,
But I just think you're more likely to be, and don't get me wrong, we've obviously got, people like Lawrence Krauss and Neil deGrasse Tyson and Richard Dawkins, who are great scientific, speakers and that kind of thing. But you just don't do science in isolation anymore. It's just not. It's,
but it has
into
its
different
problems too. I mean, you publish
Sure.
or perish. Not publishing negative results. That kind of thing.
Well, and I'll say in the social sciences, publishing and citing one another, such that you've got the citation numbers, but
Oh yeah,
really,
that's a little
it's
different.
like Fox News. You say something, and all of a sudden it becomes truth because
They
everybody's
don't,
taking it up, right?
But they don't do anything. What you're talking about is not empirical, right? They just talk about their feelings and then just do a circle jerk.
Well, not in all. I mean, there's
No, I
great
know. I'm sure there's
philosophical things that get cited and that kind of thing, but there's also an element of
yeah.
little journals that are popping up that.
That was the whole thing with
right?
Peter Boghossian and
Oh, the conceptual penis. Yeah. Yeah.
that was the whole thing, and it was just garbage. It's inaccessible language.
And the Sokol hoax, they call it the Sokol
That was the
hoax
same.
too,
Yeah, it
for
was
a reason.
Yeah, smaller.
Yeah.
But
and
nothing's changed. It's gotten worse.
No, when I was taking, my master's, yes, we did talk about Sokol, and it wasn't meant to be, oh, this guy's a jerk. It was meant to be, look, this is what's going on in our field, and we've been made an ass of. Take the lesson and be humble. We were told to mock Sokol for that.
Yeah.
And then people are, demonizing this team.
Of course they are, because
Peter Boghossian.
they're
I'm
victims.
sorry. Yeah, well, also they called it, what did they call it? Grievance studies, hey?
Grievance study. Yeah, that's actually not a bad way of doing it. It's just a bunch of griping.
It's
whinging and whining.
It's a narrow term, And I can see where people, would get upset by that, but that's not the point. I mean,
there is.
Boghossian's a philosopher. I'm just ashamed I can't remember the other two's name. It's
Oh yeah.
she's a feminist. She's and
James Lindsay, and
he's what is he? He's a statistician, I think, or something. What is Lindsay?
I can't remember what his degree's in.
I thought he had something to do with some sort of mathematics, but I'm not sure. And the other one whose name,
and I could picture her right now.
She's me too.
I'm sorry.
We're very sorry.
I haven't talked about her in ages.
Yeah, me too.
You know what? Peter Boghossian was pretty much forced to resign at Portland University, right?
No. Yeah, I remember I tried to, interview him a few years back, and should probably try and get hold of him again.
Oh,
Hey?
this was like, he was. It was a few months ago. It wasn't long ago. That's the thing. Is it just turning these things into echo chambers and ideology
Helen?
incubators? Helen Pluckrose. There we go.
Yes. Yeah. Sorry, Helen. If you're listening, you're probably not.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I'd be sorry if she was. Okay.
I'd be
Yeah,
thrilled if
I
she
wanted
was.
to get on to some of this other stuff. Oh, well, I sent you that video of the
Yeah.
black face of white supremacy, Larry Elder.
Yeah, that was interesting.
I actually I voted for him. I can actually say I voted for a white supremacist. It's like, really?
Okay, so who is he? 'Cause
Larry
I'm
Elder?
not-
He's a radio
Yeah.
talk show host, black conservative radio
Oh, I
talk show
forgot you were
host.
American. I forgot.
California,
I forgot you're dual.
the land of crazy, where I vote.
Okay. Right. Okay, gotcha.
Great. I just feel my vote is so validated. Ugh. Yeah. So he was. Well, there was a recall vote for the governor last year, Gary Newsom, another jerk.
Okay.
And he was the lead runner should the recall have been successful. Unfortunately, it wasn't, and Gary Newsom is still there. Yeah. More things change, the more they stay the same. So, anyway, Zach Kriegman, he's a data scientist working at was Reuters, and he did an analysis of the claims of Black Lives Matter, particularly that the narrative that police are hunting black Americans, which is absurd hyperbole, and came to the same conclusions I did when I ran the numbers. And I'm not a data scientist. This guy would have done a way more in-depth and sophisticated analysis than I did. But even my less sophisticated methods came to the same conclusion that there is a trend. In my case, it wasn't statistically significant. I ran a t-test on it, but it was just shy of statistical significance, and that was for an underrepresentation of black Americans in fatal police shootings. And he actually got a statistically significant one.
Yeah. I guess I didn't catch this at the time, but he's from the CBC.
Yeah. Well, this guy knows what he's talking about, and
I actually thought it was an American journalist that they were referring to. So or that he was referring to. Yeah.
But he came up with these results, and HR called him in, and they tried to get him to change his view
Narrative.
as if it was a view.
Yeah.
He said, "I trust the data." Well, I got him fired. So, the company asked employees to participate in does anybody proofread their, never mind. In a 21-day, at least they hyphenated the 21-day racial equity habit building challenge. Whatever that is. And equity.
No, it promotes
that
reparations,
word.
academic articles on critical race theory on which
How to be a better white person.
Jesus.
Instructions on how to be a better white person.
Wow.
I just substitute the word black in there and just see how that works.
Yeah. It's not exactly
fucking racist. You fucking racist. This pisses me off.
It's not exactly a way to, I don't know, gain. I don't know, how am I going to say this? It's not going to attract many people to, when you're being shamed.
It's disgusting.
Yeah.
It's filthy,
It is, yeah.
disgusting. I have visceral need to smack the person who wrote that. 'Cause
Yeah,
that's
and you know what?
this
I was
sickening.
involved in a conversation, shall we say, and somebody within that conversation said, "Well, you don't know how it feels to have your mother called out, in some racial way, right?" And I didn't say anything, but I'm lighter than my mom. My mom is lighter than my grandpa. You've seen me and Twyla standing next together. You remember that?
Yep.
Like, I'm white, but there's kind of a variation there too. Not to mention, I don't know, am I Swedish white? Am I don't know, Australian white? What the hell?
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
like,
intersectionality
are
for you.
you, yeah, are you a Canadian white person? Are you, you know, yeah, I mean,
It's the new astrology.
yeah,
It's a form of astrology. Is what it is.
well, it's certainly not uniting.
No.
I find it very
Listen to
divisive.
this.
And
The Reuters workforce was told that their black colleagues are confused and scared and are barely able to show up to work.
words, numbers,
Who the
they're
hell did
words
you
and
ask?
numbers. Oh my God, yeah.
Probably some white guy.
Oh God, probably.
I don't know.
Oh,
It's just, I'm sorry. Really? Like, what do you think's going to happen at work?
yeah,
Seriously. This is
yeah, yeah.
this I'm people
I mean, there's
that
nothing
are
wrong with consciousness raising, as Dawkins would put it, right? But, that's kind of not what this is anymore.
okay. Ultimately,
You
white
know?
people are supposed to admit their complicity in systemic racism and repent for their collective guilt. And I think that's pretty well put. Because, and here's a quote: white
Well,
people,
how do you repent for? I mean, I can buy into except the repenting for your guilt.
yeah, well,
Like, I think
it's
there's things to
yeah,
acknowledge and absolutely. But
yeah. I
how do
didn't
you,
do it though.
okay,
I didn't do it. I'm sorry it
huh?
happened,
What? Well,
but
of course.
I don't take
Yeah.
responsibility for things that I don't do.
Well, well, I think I can look at my life and say that I've, definitely had certain privileges that other people haven't had, right?
Oh
And I
well.
have no problem doing that, right? Um, and acknowledging that I have more than other people because I've had better,
Okay,
opportunities, whatever the
give up
case
your
may be,
job
right?
for and to allow somebody who is less privileged to do it.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm not into the, how would you repent, right? Because they talk about
So
reparations
you're
in
virtue
the US.
signaling.
No, I'm asking a question here because this did come up in a context, and I questioned it because they talked about reparations and
Oh,
what exactly does that mean, right? Okay, so in the Canadian context, we do reparations. We hand out some direct cash. We offer,
yeah.
scholarships and all kinds of benefits to we have we're trying to what do I say,
But riding
recapture
is not
First
reparations.
Nations. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about
I know.
our First Nations people and reparations in the Canadian context, right?
Yeah.
Um,
But they shouldn't have been doing
we
that in the
have
States either.
museums. We have, let's just carry on here, right? Okay, so we have museums and we have all sorts of initiatives to recapture oral culture and all that kind of stuff, right? And a lot of those reparations are not paid out to the individual well, none of them are paid out from somebody's estate who benefited from racism because, maybe that estate, I don't know, 2, 3 generations ago, shit was going on, but we don't demand that those people return that property back. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Mm-hmm.
so when people say reparations, I think they have to really, really look at what, it's not just about handing out money or, making old white buddy here pay because he's white or, his granddaughter is, I don't know, white, probably married to a non-white person. um, like it's all about, like I said, consciousness raising of society. We know, when I hear these goddamn reports all the bloody time of these goddamn mass graves being found in churches or Catholic I'm losing my mind because I get so angry about this topic, right? These residential schools. God damn it. That Unacceptable. I even forget my point. I got so upset about it. But yeah, your turn.
No, I
Yeah.
just wanted to read this quote here. White people built this system. White people control this system.
I think that's fair.
It is white people
Like
who
I
have
said,
tacitly agreed to perpetuate white supremacy throughout America's history. It is you who must confront your racist friends, co-workers, and relatives. You have to cure your country of this disease. The sickness is not ours.
interesting. Okay, so yeah,
Of
that was
course,
my point about the residential schools. Like, I think we all hurt from that. You
everyone,
know,
though, is considered to be a racist. That's the thing.
well, I mean, that's, you can go into all kinds of nuance about, unconscious or, yeah, unconscious.
Oh,
But if it's
which
unconscious, what
the
do you
random
do?
number
Right?
generator,
Yeah, but I
as one
mean,
psychologist called it. Those
so
stupid tests
honoring,
don't show dick.
I mean, a big part of reparation is education to the rest of society, right? And I don't have a problem with, some tax dollars going into that. Unless, then again, if they're making you do smoke, I don't know, ceremonies as part of your curriculum and you're not
Yeah,
allowed to
that
opt
is
out or
actually
something, that's
promoting religion.
bullshit. Absolutely. That's crap. Um, I also think, if ways of knowing aren't in line with scientific consensus and they're purported to be in the context of science, that's also not okay, but certainly we need to learn our history and you know um,
And
do
quit beating
better as a
people over the
society.
head with it.
Well, that, I don't know, like every time of these goddamn mass graves at residential schools, that beats me over the head every fucking time, man. That's
Yeah,
just so awful, you know
I need to investigate that a little bit further.
well, and the Catholic Church won't
Oops.
apologize. I mean, it's not like they're the only group participating in
No, there
that
was the
crap.
Anglican, and
Yeah, but at least they've had the goddamn decency to apologize.
I'm bringing up
Yeah,
the M&Ms.
M&Ms.
Yeah, M&Ms is more inclusive now.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah,
I forgot about that.
yeah. This is not an opportunity to make fun of M&Ms. Not at
No,
all.
I don't like them. I don't like chocolate, and they're particularly bad because they've got that nasty crunch to them. Just like
I like the chocolate
that.
ones. I don't like the peanut ones.
Oh, peanut. I might like those.
I don't like the peanut ones. Yeah, so they've made their characters more inclusive, whatever that means. And of course, you know what it really means is that they're representing. How do you represent everyone? It's like it's M&Ms. It's a freaking candy.
Yeah.
There is no such thing as a gay M&M.
Well,
There's no such thing as a straight M&M.
I know.
What's a cis M&M?
Well, sounds delicious. I don't know, but
Ugh, I ain't going there. No, not touching that one.
we have a couple of comments on YouTube, but I can't understand them because one is in Russian. No, it's not.
What?
VUNFYI. I have no idea what that means.
What's that?
Um, I'm looking at the YouTube chat, and
Yeah.
we have a couple of comments, but I don't understand them.
Oh.
So, yeah.
Oh well.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
What else was there? There was. Oh yeah. I really wanted to talk about this too, and we're running out of time. Trans swimmer sparks backlash for breaking U.S. college women's records. And
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but no, this person benefited from growing up as with a male body, and shock and surprise, setting records.
I don't know what to make of that
Seriously?
whole discussion. Yeah, yeah.
I cannot condone this. And it's, as much as we should be sensitive to transgender issues, this one is at the expense of female athletes.
There are better ways, I think, to do this. Why not base it on height and weight and that kind of thing, right?
Yeah. I wanted to show this because, oh my God, look at the shoulder, broad shoulders there. Where was it? Oh yeah. Okay, this Penn Law for Philly. That's a group.
Okay.
These groups that signed this letter: Law Students for a Democratic Society, Penn Law, Lambda, Trans Empowerment, whoever else, a bunch of other names. Anyway, this is the argument. Thomas, who has been swimming since she was 5 years old, had an incredible season, record-setting, following a year-long break. So even with the break, isn't that kind of ringing alarm bells here? She won events, broke records, and earned bids to the NCAA championships. Thomas did not succeed because she is transgender. She succeeded because of the hard work she has put in throughout her long swimming career, because apparently none of the other competitors did that. Fucking idiots.
Yeah. Okay.
These are law students. And they come up with an argument like this. What does that say? What about? Oh, it must be that the rest of the field did nothing all their lives.
Well, that's typical, I don't know, what do you call it, obviously you want to paint the best light for a person if you're a lawyer and you're kind of defending them, or,
but
writing
not
an
like
article in defense of
this
them.
stupidly.
Whatever,
And it wouldn't,
well,
it's an argument that wouldn't last long maybe it might play well to the press, because the press are, a bunch of morons. But I don't think a jury's going to buy it. Especially when they
I don't know.
Well,
I just, I don't.
If the opposing attorney is doing their job, they will point out the error in the logic.
Okay, so here's a thing I chanced upon in terms of that argument. It was what's his name? Phelps, Michael Phelps.
Mm-hmm.
He has some genetic essentially thing where he just can swim better than people, because something to do with the shape of his legs or something, right? So it's just been, naturally conferred, shall we say, with this, he still gets to compete and he's not considered,
Yeah, but the last time I looked, he had 2 arms and 2 legs, and he didn't have a propeller, or something that his competitors didn't have. And
well,
that would be
that's the crux of it, right?
Yeah, but he grew up
person to be
with
regarded as a
testosterone.
woman with exceptional, genetic conferences, and
This
she
is
shouldn't therefore be
apples
right?
and oranges.
Or, well,
It's a horrible argument. I mean,
okay, it's an argument nonetheless, right? Like, I'm
none of the
female,
of the other competitors, the female competitors, grew up awash with testosterone.
Well, then there's that one woman, right? That
Semenya, yeah, same thing.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
And she's a woman, but she just had,
But she has she actually has an
so.
organ that, and it's very obvious. It's really hilarious when you see a picture of Caster Semenya and her competitors. It's like, hey, who's the guy?
Yeah, but she's not a guy.
No, but she sure looks like one.
Yeah, but
I'm sorry.
not.
That's just
yeah.
I've seriously thought, who was this guy?
Well, I mean,
and it's very obvious.
That happens in everyday life too, right? You just meet someone. Are they a man? I don't know.
I gotta pull this up. You gotta see this.
Okay. I do see the, Yeah, I don't like the argument. I just wish that there would be better alternatives so that it could be fair for more people.
Yeah, and well, she
that's
grew up.
height and weight categories.
Oh,
might be perfectly reasonable, you know? Like I remember that soccer player, the woman's soccer player, the transgendered soccer player,
I
and she
think you
was
mean football, Australian football player.
whatever,
The
I
one
don't know.
that
So
broke somebody's leg.
I think so, but you know, compared to her teammates and you know the other team, whatever, she was like 3 times the size
I
of
know
them. You
there's
know,
this picture
wow,
I saw of
twice as
her.
tall and 3 times, you know, wider.
This
You
one
know,
woman has
wow.
got the footy, and is running, and the look of terror on her face because
Yeah, I mean,
because she was being chased by this huge person. They actually banned her from playing. The,
yeah, and that's
eventually,
shitty,
it's
you
well,
know,
yeah, but it's
but
if you're gonna
just maybe in a
the
league.
the
I don't know. Like I
potential
said,
for harm, physical
yeah,
harm.
yeah,
I mean, she did break somebody's leg,
yeah, yeah.
and I don't believe that is an
And you
accident.
know that does
Like, well, of
happen
course it's an
in soccer
accident,
or football or whatever. Yeah, of course it was,
but
and
I
it
mean
happens. But
it's predictable.
ooh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know, like there's all
And
this talk about.
I want to see her play. I just
Sure,
I just want her to see her play on a more level playing field. You
yeah,
know,
that's the
you
thing.
know, there are big women out there that could form a league,
But
and you
with the
know,
size that she had, she was also faster than the rest of the players.
yeah. Well, she's got
Okay,
longer limbs and all the, you know, all of it, right? Proportionately, right?
I mean she could really hurt somebody, and did.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
But
and
like that's no excuse to exclude her because that can happen to anybody, right? But just I don't know, in terms of
yeah,
like fairness
except that it's
and
really never happened.
participation. Um,
It-
so let's have a league of I don't know whatever
yeah, but
sport
there's
for
so
women
few
who are
transgender
you know
people.
4'8" to 5'4", and then 5'4" to 5', I don't know, 10, whatever, and then you know
But
five foot
then you're
ten to
excluding.
blah blah blah, right?
Yeah, well, but then
Well,
you've got
we
then
don't
she's
have to
still
even we don't
excluded
even have to
because she's
talk
bigger.
about gender, right?
There's no
Well, then she'd
category
be in
for.
a well, that's what I'm saying. Maybe there should be, you know, categories
Yeah, but there would
that
be
aren't
one
so
person, a
gender
category of
tied,
one.
right? Hmm? What's up?
It'd be a category of one person.
Oh no, there are big women out there. How
Yeah,
tall is she?
that play Australian football.
Well, I'm sure there's lots.
Uh huh.
Maybe they just.
Right.
Uh,
Have you looked?
I'm sure. Well, how many? Okay,
Uh,
how tall is she again?
a good head above everybody else.
I wonder. Yeah, because I mean, there's lots of women who are over 6 feet tall, and maybe they don't get to play because they're
Yeah.
not as good as
Well,
the smaller ones. I don't know, but
they
you
usually
know,
play
surely there's
basketball.
competitors too. And like I said, it doesn't necessarily have to be gender tied. You know, they could have mixed teams.
Oh God, no!
You know, well, I know that's
You want to
total
see
blasphemy.
broken bones all over the place? That's a great way to go.
But like I'm saying, if you're setting up, well, I guess it does depend on the sport too, right? Um,
Yeah,
you're
sort
probably
of.
not going to have a 6'4" figure skater, right? That weighs 250 pounds. Let's put it that way.
Oh yeah, on the women's
Yeah.
side. But you know what the worst type of tennis is to watch?
Hmm.
Mixed doubles.
Oh, okay.
Absolutely the worst,
Is
because
that
you've
right,
got
Nick? Huh?
okay, tall guy serving to a female player, ace. Goes
Okay.
over to
Huh.
the other side. Okay, that the guy returns it, and something happens. But I just feel bad for women in mixed doubles because they just get murdered.
Wow. Huh.
Just
I didn't know because I'm not much of a
it's terrible.
sports
It's
fan
not good.
generally,
It's
but
not
yeah.
fun to watch it. It's really bad. You know.
You actually talking to somebody?
Yes, I am
Oh.
on the
Hi,
air.
Rhonda. How you doing? Long time
Oh,
no,
she's-
and I'm not even on camera. No cats.
Hmm?
Hi, Rhonda.
Oh, she's gone.
No, she just waved. Oh, I'm looking at
Oh,
a
she-
delay, and of course, yeah.
Oh well. I think we got to end it.
Okay. Well, I just want to ask what people are. Okay, so we've got a chat here in YouTube, and people are saying VUN. What does it mean? We've got like. Oh no. We've got one person saying VUN FYI, another person saying VOR VUNFYONG, and then another person saying VUNFYI again. So I don't know what VUN means. So maybe we'll get a
This
response.
is obviously code.
Well, I looked it up,
Indecipherable.
and let's see if there's like a street meaning or something, because I looked it up and it seems to do with stock. You know, the price of stock.
Oh, bots. Great.
Oh, that's what it is. Okay.
Yeah. Invasion of the
Oh,
bots.
urban. Okay. Okay. Urban Dictionary. That's what I was going to check.
Oh, yeah, you can look it up on there.
Oh, to be better and superior of others, normally put in front of one's name. Okay. So we're better and superior than others.
Yeah.
We're being accused of it. Thank you for your feedback. We appreciate it.
Damn straight.
Yeah, and VON or whatever, I think is the same. Okay, well, that's funny.
Hey, it's my opinion.
Yeah,
And I can defend it.
don't. Well, and I can argue, which is
Yep.
what's fun
Well,
about
generally,
this.
we're in agreement, but
Yeah, but when we disagree, it's fun and healthy.
Sure.
And once again, I want to tell people that arguing is a good thing, not a bad thing. We're not fighting. We're having
I'm
a
triggered.
discussion, and we're learning.
I feel unsafe.
Yeah,
No.
like I had a conversation. Somebody was offering me some, constructive criticism, and worried that I might,
fine.
take it wrong. I'm like, no, constructive criticism is a gift, and I take no offense to that at all.
Yep.
It's a gift, right? And that's what argumentation
Sure, you
means
take
to
a hit
me.
to your pride, but it's still
Not
listen to it.
really. Well, maybe it depends on how they put it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, most constructive criticism doesn't, need to attack you as a person, so it shouldn't affect your pride, right? But I think that arguing and learning and that exchange of ideas between people is a gift and not a thing to be offended by or anything like that, right?
Yeah, I always
And,
say that, I grew up with a stepfather that would never tell me why do not do X.
Oh, okay.
And I grew up hating that because
Wow. Yeah, I guess.
he took it as an affront if I asked why. And that's the first question someone like me is going to ask. Why?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
If you can't articulate it, what'd you bring it up for?
Yeah. I remember sometimes Kara would, I'd say blah, 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 blah to her, and she'd, shoot back something that was completely and utterly irrational. And I'm just like, stop it. You're not supposed to be making sense. Do
Especially-
as I say, not as I do.
Yeah, do as I say, not as I do.
Exactly. Mind you, this is when
That's
she was
pretty much
older.
my
So,
stepfather in a nutshell.
Yeah, but I was teasing Kara. So,
Yeah. This a lot of angst for that, but anyway. This is one thing I did just quickly. They had an election in New York City, and they got rid of de Blasio.
Okay.
And good riddance. So this is the new mayor is an ex-NYPD captain. Now that is a sign to me of the wind's changing direction, and a good sign.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
So he's basically
Okay.
reversing some of the policing policies that de Blasio, that whole gun violence team that de Blasio got rid of because it was inordinately targeting black communities, and it's like, yeah, where do you think the guns are? They're not going to go to the Hamptons.
People don't like to say those things.
It's true. It's violent crime. Half of it is the vast majority of people in the black community are law-abiding, good citizens. But when half of the violent crime is committed by a particular community that represents 13% of the population, it says something. It's gang violence, right? That's what it is. And that's where the police are needed. So they say targeted, I say needed. That's the difference.
I don't know what to say.
You racist Nazi!
No, I think I don't know this. I don't know. I hope things go well. God damn it! Seems like there's no winning anything, you know. And I don't mean winning. There just seems to be no solutions that address most people. It always seems to be quasi solutions that piss most people off, you know,
Yeah, I know.
and lead to even, you know, it's so I don't know. Time will tell, I guess. I wish him well, and
Well, we know De
you know, what do
Blasio
you
was a
do,
bad
right?
idea.
Well, yeah, but God,
And Youngkin got elected in Virginia.
who's that?
There's you know, there's these moments in a political campaign where one person running shoots their campaign in the head. And boy, did this.
Yeah, just one, eh?
Yeah, well, I'm thinking of like what was that guy, George Bush Sr.'s running mate? Said you know, talked about Jack Kennedy, and he's like that.
Damn.
What's the line? But anyway, you know, that kind of moment, and in this one, it was. I don't think parents should have any say in what gets taught to their children in public schools. Wow.
I don't know if I'm not on.
Wow. Talk about
Well,
shooting yourself in the head.
I guess, but then again, if you want to, you know, you're a parent and you believe in Jesus and you want creationism to teach it.
Yeah, but I don't want
Taught in
CRT,
schools.
which is equally religious, taught in schools either.
Okay.
And
Well,
by the way, it's black letter law in the Code of Virginia that parents have the right to be the final arbiters. So
that's insane.
So
I'm
McAuliffe
sorry.
himself didn't know his own law, and he was the governor. He shot it. He shot it in the head because that's what they were talking about. This was in relation to CRT, and he said, no, parents shouldn't be having any input. It's like, yeah.
So we who have fought against having creationism taught in schools are now getting fucking kicked in the ass by people who should fucking agree with us and not indoctrinate.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you know what? I think there's nothing wrong with teaching critical race theory as long as it's taught as a theory among other social theories, right?
But it's not. It's taught as factual.
That's the problem. Yeah, that's the problem. Yeah.
And I don't even agree with it as a theory, but hey, it's just me.
Well, you know.
I mean, it's not the 1960s. You know, things have changed.
What do you mean? Oh yeah, but like.
But you wouldn't think so if you talked to a CRT person.
I see what you mean. Okay, yeah. I often come at this argument from like a academic well, I sent you that article by Stuart Hall, right?
But this is a school.
Yeah.
It's not a university. We're talking about a grade school.
Yeah, no,
You know,
I'm
this
just,
is not
like in terms of what to teach children. I don't have a problem with, you know, if you're in, I don't know, high school.
They
level,
can't navigate these
and
things.
Well,
They're children.
like you and I were talking, I was taught Marxism in high school because it's a theory, and we were taught other theory.
I don't remember
Even
being
in high
taught
school,
Marxism
right?
in high school, but I did take it
Wow.
at university.
Yeah, for sure. And because it
part of political
informs, you
science.
know, well, and yeah, and communication theory, there's, you know, lots of, well, obviously, because that's what's being, you know.
When I read Marx and Engels, I'm like, what the hell is this?
Sure, but then you probably read, you know, maybe Dewey or, I don't know, I'm trying to think of,
Locke.
you know, other theories of
Hobbes.
that era. And yeah, you know,
Rousseau.
yeah.
Yeah, and it
Yeah,
wasn't taught.
you know, positioning it in the context of history
Yeah,
and,
exactly.
and showing its influences and the influences it was or is,
I
right?
still think Marx and Engels were
Yeah.
nuts. I mean,
Well,
they were crazy.
I don't know. I
They were
don't care about that.
reactionary.
You know, like as
That's
you know,
what
I took the theory away. You know, like I said, I uncoupled the people from
Oh
the
yeah,
theory. I took the theory away. I don't, you know, blah blah blah.
absolutely. But I still think they're nuts.
I learned a perspective. I did not get indoctrinated by learning a perspective.
Right, exactly.
My knowledge
I
was
came to my own
enriched
conclusions.
because
That's the thing I'm trying to. I guess I'm trying to
exactly.
say is that
Yeah.
you're allowed to draw your own conclusions. You know, then you
Hmm.
get
Yeah.
professors like Rambikana over in Laurier who are saying you must think this way. This is what you must think of this.
Well, that is exactly the opposite
I
of
told
what a
him that.
university ought to be.
Yeah, I told him that,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I know he read my email because he mentioned that very thing.
Mm. Okay.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
almost word for word, he quoted me, and good.
Yeah. Interesting.
I don't think he should be a professor. He's doing a disservice to his students. He doesn't respect his students.
I guess it might be okay to have somebody like that in a department if you're
Hmm.
if you're kind of, I don't know, if you've got other courses that are going to temper that influence, right?
Yeah, the problem is, of course,
And I
now
don't mean in a
there's no conservative
proper.
voice anymore. Not even a centralist voice anymore.
That is very true. Yeah.
So we're beyond that tipping point where it goes
Well, no,
up,
I think
goes
there's
full
still.
bore left. And we're not talking about social democracy type left. We're talking some
Yeah,
mutated
well,
version of
I
Marxism.
okay. Here's part of the reason why
Stalinism.
I'm, always bring up, Stuart Hall, and um, he's a huge. Well, he founded the Birmingham School of Critical Theory, basically. Yeah, yeah. And I don't think anybody reads him anymore. He's humble. He advocates humbleness. He The speech I was actually looking for was one where he was talking about how he had originally was
Oh, I tried reading
dissentering.
that. I just found it so impenetrable.
That's too bad because it is a really good read
I
actually, and
could
I
not
I totally
understand
get where you're
every
coming from.
other term, and I'm just like,
Yeah,
I have no idea. He's communicating this extremely poorly, unless he's communicating it to a.
yeah, it's a
It depends on his target
communications
audience.
conference or something, right?
Yeah.
Like I understood it, and I totally get where you're coming from because there was a time when I read something like that and I had to look up. It took me, I don't know, hours because I'd have to look up those words in the dictionary, right? So I get where you're coming from because it's
Yeah,
all like,
it
I
was
don't know,
way too
shop
much
talk
work.
kind of thing, right? Yeah, fair enough. But
It was just
there
my
was
brain
one
hurts,
speech.
gets tired
So
very quickly with that.
so he's Dominican Republican. Is he? Or is he Jamaican? I can't remember. Anyway, he's an English Birmingham School. He founded the Birmingham School of Critical Theory, and at that time it was kind of all run by white guys who were, taking up theories pertaining to the consequences of World War II and all those kinds of, communication problematics. And I use that word in an honest way.
The consequences of World War II.
Well, and communications and propaganda and all that richness that came out of, these social phenomenon, right? Does that make sense? Probably not.
Well,
There's
that's
a lot.
one way
There's
to
a
look
lot to
at
be
it. I also
studied.
look at it from the point
I'm
of
look.
view
I'm
of it matured an economic system, manufacturing system.
okay. Yeah. So I'm looking at it from a communications
Yeah.
specific, or social studies and humanities perspective, and how different technologies and blah blah blah, all
Yeah,
that
well,
stuff.
television was
You know,
beginning to
yeah.
become a mainstay.
Morse
It wasn't until the
Morse code.
60s and that really most households had televisions. But
Well, yeah, we could go on and on about just the influence of technology,
yeah,
right?
well, yeah, of course.
But
Yeah.
these were looking. Critical scholars were looking at social structures that enabled, for example, something like Nazism to arise, right?
Like what?
Um,
Oh,
like Nazism to arise in a culture, in a whole culture.
did you say
So
what-ism?
Nazis.
Oh, no,
Yeah, yeah.
Nazism. Okay.
Nazism.
So it's two eyes
Nazism, I
in
know.
there.
Huh?
Nazism.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're right. Nazism. Okay.
Sorry.
Anyway, I took communication studies and I have a minor in English. How do you
Yeah,
like?
what the heck is a not-ism?
Ah, okay. So anyway, yeah. So these were all, fields of study that were under the critical realm, right? And so when the feminists came,
Oh, that was
um,
hugely based on it. Was yeah. As an orator, Hitler was
oh
incredibly
yeah,
gifted.
that's what I'm saying. Propaganda studies, that's a
Oh yeah.
massive
Well, yeah.
field that,
Goebbels was master at that.
yeah, so there's all that. But so the feminists came with their theories, and because this was, basically an institution run by men, white male men, except, Stuart
You
Hall
know,
was
I
black.
suppose I
And
was going to say, would you know any other kind of men? But then I just realized, yeah.
but so he was a little bit on board at first, like, oh, okay, blah blah blah, and he's like, you know what, and he gave a whole speech about how he had decentered others, and now he was one being decentered, and how refreshing that was, and how welcome they were into the school. You know, that's humble. That's acknowledging
All
that
right.
there's a predecessor generation that is going to challenge your ass and welcome them.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But nowadays they try and get you canceled, literally, and
That's why Stuart Hall is so important to me.
that you can't have a dissenting voice anymore. It's not allowed
Yeah,
because
and like I said, the
you feel
Sokol hoax.
unsafe.
Yeah, like I said, the Sokol hoax. There was a lesson to be learned there that people
Went
take
right
as a
over
joke.
everybody's head.
Well, not me and not my cohort.
Yeah, and you look,
I
where are
hope.
you now?
Where am I? I'm in my living
Well,
room.
no, you know what I mean. Where are you
Yeah.
now? You're not even in that community anymore.
No.
Why is that?
No.
Well, because it's insufferable.
Part of it is I don't think yeah, I don't really want to talk about this, but I don't think a degree in communications is going to be a benefit to me anymore. At least, PhD level. I've got masters and that kind of thing, but so I kind of want to take some time and find a new home,
You had
even
a
if it means
really good
starting over
topic too.
again. Yeah, but I think that topic's kind of worn now too, right?
Yes, we haven't really heard much about the Disco Institute
Yeah,
in a while.
yeah. Well, as been. I mean, COVID is kind of fascinating. Like,
Yeah, the
in terms
Chinese
of,
at the Wuhan virus lab thought so too.
well, no, I'm just thinking like this convoy in and of itself is a whole thesis. You
Mm,
know,
sure,
yeah,
and
and
it's you might have a little trouble looking at it from their perspective
well, um,
without
I I
invectives.
had to look at the Discoveries Institute and those types of
Did
organization
you look
from
at
a
it through their eyes?
well, I looked at it through the eyes of neutrality, right? So as not to try to pick one side or another, but
Right.
making observations about how they enacted rhetoric and how that facilitated persuasion and essentially people to get on board with that shit.
Mm-hmm.
So um, my conclusion would have been,
They're stone cold fuck
is
nuts.
pretty, yes, and very academic, but the paper
No
itself was
bias.
taking a pretty neutral look at things, right? Of course, because that's what you do. And looking at it through different lenses. I looked at actor network theory, like Burkean rhetoric. I don't know, a few other things along the way because, you know, um, yeah, actor network theory is huge. And it has a bunch of, like theories under its umbrella. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. But yeah, I feel like I need a new home, another faculty. If anybody wants to take me on as a grad student,
In
let me
what though?
know. I don't religious studies, you know. Um,
You might be an odd duck there.
I think I am. I was kind of told that way when I went into
I mean,
communication,
I
like
would be,
PhD in
I'd
communications,
be
because
an
like
odd duck
I
with a
don't
shotgun if I was there.
know. Well, no, at what like quite early on, I was, I had a meeting and she said, I don't know if we're familiar enough with the scholars I was referring to.
Oh, I just
Um,
get pissed off.
well,
They're
I think that was
terrible.
very fair for her to me to say, and I think they supported me very well, but um, this is a while afterward, and things have changed a lot, and
Yep.
I've two of my my PhD supervisor is no longer with us. He's dead, shall I say. My master's supervisor is dead, and we're losing the old guard. I don't want to mean the old guard, but the people who
Yeah,
were
the people
more
who actually
open-minded
were
and
worth,
thoughtful and
yeah,
nuanced.
their worth was higher.
That's not to say that there's not still a lot of great people there, but they're not getting the headline publications because they're saying sane shit.
Yeah.
Sane shit is boring.
And that
Yeah.
the old guard, as you call it, gets marginalized and forced out. So,
That's why I was referring to Stuart Hall.
yeah,
It's a very
very
wonderful
predictable.
example of and him advocating for academic humility or modesty or whatever, right? Like because he and this is, I guess, my takeaway point: the scholars and the people who are advocating certain things are going to be taken down by the next generation of scholars, and I hope they have the spine to realize that that's what academia is all about.
Well, it's going to be like Fahrenheit 451, right?
What do you mean?
Well, they're going to start burning the old, well, in this case it was books, but it was ideas, right?
Well, no, we're going to have this generation of people who are saying, X, Y, and Z about critical theory, and then we're going to have a generation after them that's going to be saying X, Y, and Z about critical
because it's
theory,
going to
and
be,
it might
well,
just
it's
come
going to
back
be
to balance,
reactionary.
right?
You're always reacting to the previous generation, I suppose.
Yeah. So, if you're going to
But
slag your predecessors,
for
expect to be
so
slagged by
long,
your successors.
but for so long, university professors were very objective, and now,
Kind of. Well, even if they weren't objective, at least they taught as though they were,
and they wouldn't,
right?
and they wouldn't
Yeah.
try to, cancel people for having a opinion different from theirs,
Absolutely. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
That would have been unthinkable. But
Yeah.
not for the
I took
Twitter twats.
I took a methodology course in religious studies by Dr. Andrew Hexham, and I had no idea he was a Christian. He didn't. Eventually I knew that, and certainly wasn't making my atheism unknown because of my research topic, obviously. And he taught the course. There was no pressure to be a Christian whatsoever, right? None whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
Like that. When you say about an objective professor, of course, and
He's teaching it from
that's
a
how it should
neutral
be.
standpoint. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, and yeah,
Unlike
he.
Rambikana, who is definitely like neutral is evil.
Yeah,
That kind
yeah,
of
and in fact, his son and I are good friends because we were cohorts in the PhD, and ended up hanging out with that family, and I should again soon, quite often, and having wonderful, respectful discussions and disagreements, and it was, yeah, I respect that, I appreciate that, and yeah, that neutrality of teaching, that's what I expect,
yeah, which is no
yeah.
longer in existence.
Yeah, and if I don't know what I would have done if I had been taught. I don't know what I would have done if I'd been tried to propagandize too. I guess I just would have written papers against it or something like that. I don't know. Yeah.
Well, you would have written not about their rhetoric, but the content.
Well, you research your topic, and yeah.
And that's how you would be. That's where you lose neutrality. Is where you comment on the. I mean, it's not necessarily bad to get rid of your neutrality, but
No, that's true. Yeah.
not always. But you know what I mean, right? So when you're analyzing rhetoric, you're completely ignoring the content.
No, you're paying attention to the content outside of the ideology, I guess one might say, and yeah, right. You're taking those claims as neutral because you're looking at how
Well,
it
that's
acts
what I
to
mean.
persuade people.
Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah,
Maybe
yeah,
I
yeah.
didn't put it. Well, you're still looking at
That
the
doesn't necessarily
form
mean
of the
you-
rhetoric.
Yeah, and then eventually you can, okay, is this a true or a false claim, right? That's a kind of a different.
That's a different question
I guess.
altogether, and you
Yeah,
don't have to
exactly.
consider that.
Yeah, yeah. Well, eventually I think you do, but in
Not if
terms
you're just
of
studying the rhetoric.
yeah, in terms of, developing a conclusion and putting the data together and that kind of thing, I think,
Yeah, you can
there's
completely ignore the bile that bubbles up.
Yeah. Well, I was talking about, and pretty much anything, I suppose, but yeah, intelligent
Which I'm
design
not good at
specifically.
doing, obviously. I mean, I prattle on about these things. But anyway, I think we should leave it. And
Yeah. Nice to chat again.
yeah,
And
2
hi to
weeks.
everybody out there. And yeah, a couple weeks.
Too bad we didn't get to this topic here, but anyway, that's okay.
Oh, well, what was it? Maybe we can.
Oh, video on video games, and this person goes on a
Oh, yeah,
big
yeah,
rant
yeah.
on sexism in gaming, and then watch the subscribe count go. Phew. Who wants to listen to that? And why would you do
Apparently
this?
our
You paint a
colleagues.
big bullseye on your forehead.
Yeah,
Congratulations.
wow. Huh.
I mean, this is not a strong person. This is a very brittle person. And
That's a good word. That's an interesting word. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm being analyzed. No, I think it's a good descriptor. It's a brittle personality. It's one that is easily bent out of shape, shall we say?
Yeah, like
As
me.
in snap.
You. In our own ways.
Yeah. Yeah,
No,
and then you
but
go on a
yeah.
rant. I go on rants all the time. I mean, rants are great. They're so cathartic.
They are. Yeah.
This is why I do this thing, because it's an outlet. Whereas
Don't you miss it when you're just having a rant among friends and you don't have it on recording?
and I
Shit,
haven't
that
had
was a
even
good rant.
one sip of alcohol tonight, so there you go. Imagine if I had. Oof. Anyway, 2 weeks.
Yep. Sounds good.
I think we'll stop it now, and then So good night, everybody.
Yeah. Good night, everybody.
Yay!
Thanks for joining us.
If you did.
Yeah.
And if you
Probably
didn't,
not.
you never. Doesn't matter. You won't know what I'm saying anyway. Anyway, there we go. Bye bye.